Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm not as good as you, of course, but I'm good. You know, I try my best. Today is a Friday. Coming up later in the program, going to be visiting with Jordan Goodman. He is America's Money Answers Man, and we're going to get some answers from this guy. I like chatting with him. He actually sent me some of his books. I'm super excited. I just got them in the mail, so I haven't had a chance to read them yet, but I'm going to read them. He's a very, very smart man. We'll be chatting with him later in the program. Also, did you know that you are more likely to be killed by a champagne cork than by a spider? So people who are afraid of spiders...
I've never thought I was going to be killed by a spider. I just don't like spiders.
Champagne corks kill more people than poisonous spiders, so be very careful around champagne, and don't worry so much about them. They're spiders. Hey, research from the European Space Agency has determined that there is lightning on Venus as well as a surprising temperature swing that happens on Venus. So they've been studying Venus for some reason. So there you go. Coming up here in a bit, we're going to talk about what special things are happening today. There's quite a few. It's all on the way.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
Thought you'd never ask. It's Friday, and it is the 4th day of March, and that means today is International Scrapbooking Industry Day.
Haha.
You used to do that,
I used to, and you know what? Our poor daughter, our son has 2 very beautiful books, and I haven't done a thing
You got tons.
with Taylor's
Here's what
pictures.
happened. Facebook came along.
Yeah.
And, you know, posting everything online so you don't have to stick it in a book. So I guess they do need a day. Hey, it's also Benjamin Harrison Day. You know who Benjamin Harrison is?
Yes.
If you answered one of the Beatles, you are wrong. No, Benjamin Harrison was a president of ours. 22nd president. Hey, it's, or 23rd president, maybe. It is, 23rd president. Courageous Follower Day today. Dress in Blue Day today. So you're supposed to wear blue. Not Blue Dress Day. That would be something completely different. Employee Appreciation Day. World Day of Prayer. Holy Experiment Day. National Day of Grammar. It is Toy Soldier Day. Old Inauguration Day. March 4th Day. Do Something is what they call that. Do Something. March 4th. And it is Shabbat across America and Canada Day. And finally, National Day of Unplugging. A lot of stuff going on today.
There you
We
go.
should have just dove right into that. A lot of things. Get out there and celebrate. Coming up, if you can't beat them, join them. We'll tell you all about it in a bit.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges, and you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. I'll give you a toll-free number to call, 888-547-8007. Start earning 6% now. Call 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
And you know it's true because you heard it on the radio. If you can't beat them, join them. The Army, that is. Donna wanted to get married, but her husband-to-be wanted to join the Army. So what did Donna do? She says, hey, if you can't beat them, join them. She joined the Army too. Right after they got married, Donna and Kirk Evanson enlisted together in the U.S. Army.
That's nice.
The Athens, Georgia couple will start basic training at separate bases in the beginning of March, so this month. 9 weeks later, they'll be reunited for training as radio communication specialists. It's their field they're looking at. Their first assignment, 1-year stint at Fort Riley, Kansas, is also going to be together as well. Army officials who note newlywed enlisting together is very rare say they're going to try to keep the couple together as long as they are out on active duty. So that's really cool.
That's
And
very
the thing
cool.
That's neat, if they can make this work out for this couple, there might be other couples that say, you know, let's do that. Let's go serve together. Let's join the Army together.
We should do that. Could we still do that?
No, I don't
Be
think they would
radio specialists. We've already got the experience.
I don't think they would take either of us. First of all, we're both too old. And
We're both out of shape.
Neither one of us would pass the physical. We have to take the ASVAB, and I'm sure we would score a negative number. That would be bad. Our son, by the way, I'm super, super proud of our son. Next week, he takes off for the U.S. Navy. So hats off to our son. That's exciting, and my wife over
It's
here is
devastating.
getting ready to cry because
Yeah.
it's kind of scary. But I'm so proud of him. Anyway, this young couple from Athens, Georgia, Donna and Kirk Evanson, like I said, they enlisted in the Army together, and they're taking off for basic training right about now here in the beginning of this month. I just think that's really kind of a cool thing. So, and it's true because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
and this is your brain on drugs. Police in Cleveland say a man called 911 because he felt he was in danger. Then he asked the dispatcher to hold on while he made a drug deal. Police said Alejandro Melendez called 911 and reported that two men with guns were watching him. Then he hung up, so the dispatcher called back. When he answered, he asked the dispatcher, hang on a second. The dispatcher could still hear what was going on and could hear the entire transaction take place while he was selling heroin to one of his customers. The dispatcher called the police, who found him at the location that he had given, and they found cocaine in his pants. He was arrested and charged with possession of cocaine, and I'm assuming charged with selling it as well, since they overheard him doing so. But he called the police and thought he was being threatened. He's a couple guys with guns. Isn't that common practice in his field? I don't know how that works. I guess
That's
only what I see on the movies.
ridiculous.
That's the kind of thing that happens when your brain is on drugs.
John and Heidi.
Something that I've never really thought of, but what do you do if you have a chimney fire? If a fire
I
would break
don't
out
know.
in your chimney, it would be handy to have one of these, a Chimfex fire suppressor. According to the Chimfex fire suppressor brochure, their sticks are indispensable as your first line of defense for controlling fires that occur in fireplace flues and other chimney exhaust systems. Fast toss-in convenience allows you to react effectively to control flames and heat buildup during a chimney fire until professionals can arrive. Yes, available. Handy, yes. Available, no. The product is no longer available. You know why?
Why?
They had a giant fire at their factory.
Oh, funny. Well, I wonder, if there's a fire in the chimney, can't you just wait till the fire burns out? What's the problem?
No, it can catch your whole home on fire.
But
So-
it's in the chimney.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's other things that can catch fire, though. So anyway, the thing that's interesting to me is their product, designed to put out fires, their entire factory burned down. Couldn't they have used their product to put out the fire? I don't know how that works.
How would you even know if there was a fire in your chimney? Because, if you're running your fireplace and a fire is going on in your chimney, wouldn't you just assume all the
It's not
smoke
part
is
of the
coming
story.
from your
I
fireplace?
was just merely getting to the fact that they burned their factory down. Hey, we have your scoop of the day on the way on this Friday.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now, your scoop of the day. Finding comfortable shoes can be quite a challenge for people with very big feet. It's virtually impossible for the Venezuelan man who holds the record for the world's largest feet. Guess how big Jason Rodriguez shoes are?
How big?
26. Size
26?
26.
Is that a European size?
No, that is his size. His feet are over 2 feet long. This week, he received a donation of 4 pairs of custom-made shoes from a man by the name of George Wessel. He's a German shoemaker that specializes in making irregular-sized shoes, boots, and sneakers, and clogs and sandals. Wessel has been making shoes for the world's tallest people for almost 40 years, and he always gives them their shoes for free.
Oh, well,
Isn't
how
that
does he
cool?
make a living then?
I don't know. Maybe he sells shoes to other people who have smaller feet. I'm not sure. But George Wessel from Germany made size
That's
26
nice.
shoes. Give him 4 pairs of them. A man and a woman are facing charges after what police call a foiled robbery attempt. This was in Dredson, Tennessee, at a convenience store. A man and a woman went into the convenience store, and they were behaving suspiciously. The cashier hit the panic alarm. When police arrived, the pair fled the scene, leading officers in a little bit of a car chase. Police say the man put on a ski mask as he fled. The chase ended on a dead-end road. So they didn't get anything, and they got caught. Psychiatrists say this cold winter that we've had is bringing on tremendous amounts of seasonal affective disorder, or otherwise known as depression. So there's people that, because of the cold weather, are very depressed. Here's the one thing I can tell you. Hang in there. It's going to get better. A growing number of college students are refusing to be identified by either
Hold on.
gender.
Let's go back to that for
Yeah?
a second. I'll tell you what's depressing.
What's
when
that?
it is beautiful, it's almost weather for shorts, and then you wake up the next morning and
snow.
there's snow
It's
again.
been kind of weird, where it's like nice, cold, nice, cold.
That's really tough
It
because that's where you start to get depressed. You just get excited. You're like, good, nice weather's coming again, and then there's
Not
more
so much.
snow.
That groundhog needs to be fried. I'm just kidding. I love the groundhog. Hey, a growing number of college students are refusing to be identified by either gender. So if they're not men
Oh,
or they're
good
not women,
Lord.
what are they? I don't know what they are.
This
then.
irritates the crap out of me.
How do you really feel about this, Heidi?
It's irritating.
All right, we'll move on then. Today, kids can't keep up with their parents. An analysis of studies on millions of children around the world find they don't run as fast or as far as their parents did when they were young. On average, it takes children 90 seconds longer to run a mile than it did for their parents just 30 years ago. So what's the deal with our kids?
They're
They
not
can't
moving.
run as fast as us?
Well, they're not moving at all. They're in front of video games all the
That
time.
could be. Hey, if you're a current or former musician, your brain could be in luck. A study published in the Journal of Neuroscience shows that playing an instrument at a young age might make you healthier later in life. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
What we see in an older adult who has made music as a has made music, there we go, is a biologically younger brain, according to Dr. Nina Kraus, professor of neurobiology. I can't even read her quote, so I'm not
Then
anywhere near
I'm
as
good.
smart
I
as her.
played the recorder in third grade, so
I had a kazoo once. Does that count? The fact that your cognitive sensory reward system is so engaged in the process of playing music seems to strengthen those circuits that are working for music and those functions that are important for language, according to Dr. Nina Kraus. So if you played an instrument, good for you.
hot
You're probably
cross
gonna-
buns on the recorder.
Hey, Jacksonville's sheriff deputies have arrested a man who allegedly attempted to rob a convenience store wearing a Darth Vader mask and his chest plate as well. They say 32-year-old Vader wannabe showed his pistol and demanded money from the clerk. The employee responded by throwing a jar of blue cheese dressing at him.
Oh, nice.
The jar hit the faux Vader right on the face, and he took off. There you go. That's how you get rid of Darth Vader. Blue cheese dressing. Coming up now, we've got your scoop of the day, your strange law. In Connecticut, you may not sell a pickle that will fall apart if dropped 12 inches. So you drop a pickle 12 inches. If it breaks in half, you can't sell that pickle.
Wow.
There you go.
Interesting.
Interesting law and a strange law. This has been your scoop of the day.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges, and you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. Start earning 6%. Go to commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com right now. What are you waiting for? Go to commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. Again, that's commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We got a special guest joining us right now because we're going to be talking about the 10 headwinds facing the U.S. stock market in 2016. So when we have anything at all that has to do with finances, who do we go to? We go to America's Money Answers man, Jordan Goodman. Jordan, how are you today?
Great to be with you, John.
Well, we're excited to have you on the program here. And folks, if you want to reach out to Jordan, I'm going to give you his website. It's moneyanswers.com. And if you want to connect with him with money questions, certainly reach out to him. But we've got a list here of 10 headwinds facing the U.S. stock market. And this is something that, should people be concerned if they have money in the stock market right now?
Yes, they should. We've had the worst opening, roughly 2 months of the stock market in American history. And there's a reason for it. All the things we're going to go into. There's a lot of stresses in the financial system right now. So, yes, people should definitely be concerned. I think it's a time to put your money in what I call safe high yields. But let's first tell them what the problems are, why the stock market's got some real issues going forward here.
So what are the things that are facing the stock market
So
right
the
now?
first one is falling oil, energy, and in general, commodity prices have been really falling sharply here. Less demand from China, tremendous oversupply of all kinds of things, oil, copper, grains, you name it. It just caused a deflationary trend, prices falling things, and that deflation is bad for the stock market. Inflation certainly is good, but when you have this, and I think it's going to continue, and we've got oil that a year ago was well over $100 a barrel. Now it's about 25 to 30. I think it's going to stay that way, if not potentially go lower with all the oversupply. So that is a definite negative for the markets, is deflation caused by lower commodity prices.
And then there's other things too, right?
Yes, indeed. Precious metals prices are falling as well, like gold and silver is again showing deflation is coming down. What I call the China syndrome, which is China's had an enormous credit bubble really over the last few years, and that's deflating now. They've got these so-called ghost cities, John, huge cities that have been built that are completely empty. They're beautiful, but they're completely empty because people can't afford to live in them. That is a negative on their real estate market and their stock market. The next one, the Federal Reserve has been tightening monetary policy. They raised rates a quarter point back in December. Probably will raise rates more this year. That means the dollar goes up in value, which makes us less competitive. And it in general hurts things. It slows things down. We don't need things slowing down. We need them speeding up these days, John.
Definitely. And we are halfway through the 10 headwinds facing the U.S. stock markets. We've got 5 more. What are those?
So the junk bond market, the high-yield bond market, has really been hurting lately, meaning prices are going down and yields are going up dramatically. And that's a very bad sign. About a quarter of the junk bond market is in oil and exploration-related drilling, and that's clearly going to get hurt with oil as low as it is. The overall U.S. economy has been growing at a slower pace, all kinds of different ways that we're seeing that. And the earnings of the companies, the S&P earnings, have been in decline, down about 5% now, and I think they could go even lower with all these commodity prices we talked about going down. There's something called the Dow theory, which is the transportations and the industrials. Transports have been falling very, very sharply here. Like airlines and railroads and those kind of things. That's always a bad sign for the stock market. And in general, stocks are overvalued. I mean, you've had a big rise for the last 6 years. And I think there's a lot, particularly the very high growth stocks, Google or Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, these kind of high growth companies. They're floating on air, John. There's a lot of room for them to go down. So these are some of the reasons why the stock market's got some issues right now.
Again, the 10 headwinds facing the stock market this year. And the reason we're talking with Jordan Goodman, he's America's Money Answers man, nationally recognized for being an expert on personal finance, 18 years as on the editorial staff for Money Magazine, served on Wall Street as a correspondent. So this guy, he knows his stuff. So what's the answer? If somebody reaches out to you and says, Jordan, I'm afraid of the stock market right now, what should I do with my money?
So what the answer is to put your money in place that you get a safe, high yield, and your principal is not at risk. Now, if you keep your money in the bank at a CD, money market fund, treasury bill, you earn zero today, just zero. You're going to stay that way. So that's not much of a solution. Your principal's safe, but you earn nothing on it.
Wow.
I'll tell you what I've been doing myself, which might be of interest to a listener, are what are called commercial mortgage bridge loans. And that's a way of earning 6% yield over 1 year. You get monthly checks, get your money back at the end of the year completely safely. And it's not something that you're going to get through normal brokers. There's no commissions, asset management fees of any kind. And there's a website related to that, John, which is commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. And here's the way it works. You're lending your money to high-quality commercial real estate projects. Could be hotels, shopping centers, apartment buildings, something like that. They use the money to improve or renovate themselves over a 1 year period, pay monthly interest. At the end of the year, the project's done. They pay it off. And then you get your money back, at which time you can either take your money back and do what else you like with it or do another one. The vast majority of people renew because where else are you going to get 6% these days? So
Exactly.
That to me is a good solution in a deflationary environment. Something that's super safe, 6% yield, and you don't have to worry about the stock and bond market at all. Again, the website to find out more, commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com.
And you and I had talked a few months ago. Up until that point, I had never heard of that. But since then, I've been absolutely fascinated with that concept, and I think it sounds like a great way, instead of gambling on the stock market and hoping that things rebound over there, or as you were just mentioning earlier, you can go to the bank and, put it there and earn a whopping 0%. I think there are even some banks that are talking about charging you to keep your money there, which is kind of crazy.
They are. That's what's called negative interest rates, when you actually you not only not earn anything, you pay them to hold your money. That's called a negative interest rate, correct.
Now, why would anybody do that? Doesn't that just seem crazy?
In Europe and Japan, they're doing this all over the place. If you go to a Swiss bank, John, okay, and you give them $1, you're going to get back 98 cents of the dollar. They have a negative 2% interest rate. And the same is true in Germany and Denmark and Sweden and Japan, all over the world. The central banks are trying to stimulate the economy by making it so unattractive to keep money at the banks. You have to go use it or lend it or spend it or do something with it. But people are willing to do that anyway because they're so fearful of what's going on in the world these days. So it is a bit crazy. We don't have negative interest rates in the United States quite yet, although, as you say, banks are talking about potentially charging you to hold their money. That would be, in effect, a negative interest rate.
Again, visiting right now with Jordan Goodman, and he's America's Money Answers man. Now, Jordan, you've got 13 best-selling books you've either written or co-authored. Where can I find those if I'd like to pick up a copy of one of your books?
Moneyanswers.com is my website, and there's a little bookstore there. I've done a book called Fast Profits in Hard Times, for example. I did the Dictionary of Financial Terms. I did one you might find fun, John, called Master Your Money Type, about people's financial personalities.
Nice.
Because people have some pretty strange personalities out there. And their psychological view towards money makes them make wrong decisions all the time. So, for example, one of my, I think that's very big today, are squirrels. Squirrels is one of my money personalities. These are people who are very, very worried, consumed by fear. And as a result, they keep their money in the bank earning nothing, and they're just super savers, which is okay. But if you don't earn anything on your money, that's not going to do well either. So squirrel is one of my money types. So I've done a lot of books, and I love to take emails and get them from your listeners as well at moneyanswers.com.
Again, moneyanswers.com. Jordan, thank you so much for taking some time to chat with us again today.
Very good. Thanks so much, John. Appreciate it.
And last time I talked to you, I said I'll be reaching out to you once in a while, so it's okay that I call you every once in a while and get some more input on this?
It's a changing world all the time, and you got to stay up with what's going on in finances. I'm glad to help you listeners do so.
Well, I'm really glad to have you do that, and I'm excited. I'm actually going to be reading some of your books here because one of the things that I have thought for many years is I don't have a ton of money. I'm not a big investor in things, and so this doesn't matter to me. I don't need to know this stuff. But then I had a friend of mine that said, maybe it's because you don't know these things that you don't have a bunch of money to invest.
Exactly.
The more educated you are, you can take that little tiny bit that you do have and turn it into something. And I was like, that's a good idea.
Absolutely. You have people who have money sitting around, and I find people have a lot more money than they say publicly because they're so concerned. But to keep in the bank, knowing in advance you're going to earn nothing on it is not a good strategy. So I've just given you a good strategy here, these commercial mortgage bridge loans, as a way of earning a super safe 6%. And you can make your money work for you. You don't have to work all the time. You can make your money work for you.
If I'd like to get more information on that, is that on your website or where do I find that?
Both. I've got it at my website, commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com is the direct website, and there's a link to it at moneyanswers.com as well.
All right. Jordan, thank you again, sir.
Thank you, John.
Again, Jordan Goodman, America's Money Answers man, and we've talked to him a couple times, and I'm sure we'll be reaching out again because, again, this is a topic that really should matter to everybody. And if it doesn't matter to you, it should matter to you. But we're going to be talking more and more with Jordan in the coming months as well. If you'd like to go to his website, I'll give that to you again, once again, right now, moneyanswers.com. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Keystone Treatment Center. Addiction is no laughing matter. Call Keystone Treatment Center toll-free at 1-844-204-1055.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Did you know, according to a Reader's Digest survey, the fear of aging is the number one worry that keeps men awake at night?
Really? Does that keep you awake?
No, not at all. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Maine is the toothpick capital of the world. Never thought of it before, but there you go. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Did you know that Q-tip cotton swabs were originally called baby gays?
Oh, no.
That's what they were called before. Now they're Q-tips. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Instead of stitches, doctors in Canada use a thing similar to crazy glue. They don't stitch you up, they glue you up.
That happens here, too, sometimes, depending on your wound.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
About 93% of all greeting cards are purchased by women.
Well, duh.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
A common name for pin curls is also known as a spit curl. You know why?
Why?
Because women sometimes wet their hair with saliva before curling it. Do you do that?
No, I don't. I don't do pin curls.
You
I
don't
don't
do
know
either of
anybody
those?
that does pin curls anymore.
Well, now you know why. Because they're spit curls. All right, a couple of fun facts for you right here on the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by RadioReallyWorks.com. I know you're listening to a podcast, but did you know the John and Heidi Show is also a radio show? And for those of you who have businesses, you should consider using radio to advertise your business. We can even help you create some catchy little jingles or amazing radio ads that'll help pull people in. Get all the details or just learn more at RadioReallyWorks.com. That's RadioReallyWorks.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We appreciate you tuning in on a Friday. We go to church on Sundays. I absolutely love our church. I would not have to be bribed to go there. Would you have to be bribed? Do they have to pay you, talk you into going?
No, absolutely not.
There's a church in Germany that they're saying that some people are saying the local church is bribing people to come to their services. Let me read the story. In Kallinghorst, Germany, Father Buckhard Westphal finally figured out how to get more people to attend his church. Bribe them. And it seems to be working. The priest said his flock of parishioners has grown threefold after he started handing out $5 bills to everyone who attends on Sunday. He defends the practice by saying, the aim is to provoke and raise interest in the church. I want to bring as many people out as possible to talk about the Bible. If it makes you feel any better, he also noted that most people had put the money back in during the collection anyway. So they're saying that when they pass the plate, a lot of people take that same $5 and put it right back in.
Oh, well,
So-
see, there you go.
So I think that's an interesting idea. So I don't know. If for those of you who maybe work at a church or go to a church or you're on the board or whatnot, if you're trying to grow, take a look at what they're doing in Kallinghorst, Germany, and see if that maybe would be a good fit for you. I don't think our church will probably do that. I do remember, because our church, they don't actually pass the plate anymore. Mm-hmm. But back when they did, our pastor said, it's not about the money. He said, as a matter of fact, when it's going by, if you need money, take some out. That's not what it's about. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing.
Yep.
So anyway, that again happened in Kallinghorst,
I don't.
Germany.
We're not giving that advice to anybody
I'm not
to go
saying
into
that.
churches and take money out of the
Did
plate.
we say that? Did I
No.
say that? Okay, I want to make
No.
sure I didn't say that because I don't think
It's
it
about
said
tithing, which
It
is a
is.
principle in the Bible, which you're
Exactly.
supposed to do. You're
There you
required to do. So please don't take money out of the collection plate.
that. I don't think we told people to do that. Just so you know. All right, moving right along. Coming up, live long and prosper. That's the headline. We'll get to the story in a bit.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RVRealtor.com. If you want to buy or sell an RV, go to RVRealtor.com. List your RV for free. Learn more at RVRealtor.com.
Live long and prosper. Who's known for saying that?
Spock.
Yeah, and he does this thing over here with his fingers. Can you do that, the Spock thing? Can you? With both hands?
Not with this hand.
I can only do it with one.
I can only do it that way.
It's the opposite hand.
I mean, I can do it with this one, but it takes me
I
longer.
still can't. With some rubber bands, I might be able to. But if you really want to live long and prosper, according to research at the University of California, they might have the answer. A study from there, according to research, they found that mice on a low-calorie diet lived longer than those with a high-calorie diet.
Well, duh. My gosh.
They also discovered that switching a mouse from a high-calorie diet to a low-calorie diet eliminated up to 70% of all genetic signs of aging.
Did they really need to do this study?
Well, what they're saying is it's not only healthier for you, but it slowed the aging process, too.
Yes, I think we can all agree
you think
with
everybody
that.
already knew that?
Yes.
I had no clue. I didn't know that mice who eat a high-calorie diet aged faster.
I
works on
know
people
that when
too?
I'm heavier,
Yeah.
I look older.
Oh, yeah.
And when I lose weight, I look so much younger. So, I mean,
remember
that
when
just goes without saying.
There was a time when somebody thought that you were my daughter.
Yeah.
You're actually older than me. I'm heavier than her. Coming up, she hooked him. We'll tell you all about that in a bit.
John and Heidi.
Getting married. Marriage is such a cool thing. And
Marriage.
everybody does it differently. My beautiful bride here and I, we got married in Jamaica, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
It was kind of a neat thing. It was really cool. Well,
And we haven't been back since. We
No,
said we were
we
going back
should.
on our first anniversary.
Yeah, we didn't.
We
We
said
were-
we were going back on our 5th anniversary.
10th,
We
we
said we were
missed
going
that.
on our 10th.
we missed the 15th and 16th. Maybe 17th will be the
We
one.
haven't had a vacation for
really
a very
haven't.
long time.
We're here entertaining you. I mean, you don't want us to leave, do you? All right, getting married in all of places. How about the 9th hole? The dress at Barry and Tanya's wedding was very casual because it was golf casual. They got married on the 9th hole at the Fox Run Golf Course in Yankton, South Dakota.
Oh,
The new
fun.
bride says that the golfing wedding was her idea. And it was okay with her mother, too. Tanya says her mom felt they needed a golf partner more than a husband anyway. So they golfed together, and they thought, hey, this would be a really cool way to tie the knot and make this,
That's adorable.
an interesting wedding. So and we're talking about it here. About
I
a year
like
later.
those unique weddings.
They
They're
are
kind
really
of
cool.
fun.
Coming up, we're going to talk about you liars out there and how much we lie to strangers. Yeah, that's on the way.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges, and you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. I'll give you a toll-free number to call, 888-547-8007. Start earning 6% now. Call 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
I never really thought about this before, but we lie to strangers all the time. How often do we lie to strangers, you might think? Well, let's listen to the story. Everybody tells a whopper when making small talk with strangers. Some of us as often as 3 untruths every 10 minutes, according to a study. Some people tell tall tales to cover up their own insecurities when meeting new people. And because it's easier than telling the truth about themselves, this is revealed from a University of Massachusetts psychology professor, Robert Feldman. They say that just being yourself requires more creative effort than being deceitful because it involves deciding which attributes to emphasize and which to minimize, which impulses to follow and which to ignore. Feldman goes on to say, folks who thought they had a good radar for liars picked out fibbers' falsehoods less than half of the time, only 47% of the time. You know, one of the things I think is interesting is when you meet somebody and you start talking about, stupid things that you stretch the truth on. Exaggerate. I've seen things exaggerated. We walk away and I'm like, wow, we must be fascinating people. we got the coolest lives ever. The way we tell that story, we sound awesome. When in reality, we're like,
We are awesome.
not so awesome. What do you think?
I'm awesome. I don't know about you, but
If people knew the absolute truth, they would not be impressed. That's like Facebook. I have a lady that I spoke to. She's actually a psychologist. She calls it fake book. And the reason she calls it fake book is she says nobody goes on there and talks about how mundane and boring their lives are. Everybody goes on and talks about how awesome things are going in their
we
life.
do. We go on. We're very honest.
That's probably the problem.
We go on and say, yeah, spent an entire day watching WKRP.
That's
We
true.
did not move. We didn't get off the couch except to pee and to switch DVDs.
Did that last weekend, actually.
Yes.
And it was funny because I had people going, man, that sounds like fun. I'm like, really?
It was.
It was kind of fun.
It was fun.
All right, coming up, we've got the truth for you. We've got some good news to share. We always try to wrap things up with that. It's on the way.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
Thanks again for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday as we wrap up this week and this program. We always try to make sure we end on a positive note with a good story. You ready for this?
Ready.
This one comes from, where is it? Clinton Township, Michigan. A firefighter there recently paid a family's outstanding power bill to help them get their electricity back on. The bill, $1,023.
Holy cow.
And they needed it to keep their son's life support going.
Oh, boy.
Take a listen to this story from ABC News. Christy Stone called 911 after she and her husband's house lost power. They have an 18-year-old son, Troy, who has muscular dystrophy, and he relies on electrically powered ventilators to breathe and stay alive. Christy explained that her family has been overwhelmed with medical costs, given that she has a 15-year-old son who also has muscular dystrophy.
Oh, my
Firefighter
gosh.
Ryan McEwen responded to the emergency call. Christy Stone put in that day when she'd called 911 and said helping her was a, quote, no-brainer. While Troy was taken to the hospital to get his ventilator hooked up to the power, McEwen called the power company and paid the family's bill for them.
Wow.
How cool is that? So this guy, Ryan McEwen, a firefighter in Clinton Township, Michigan, got a call. It was an emergency call. The electricity was off. This kid was going to die. And he responded by saying, you know what? I'll actually help you with that.
How heartless of that power company. There's a child on life support.
I can't believe that they would turn it off. And maybe they
No.
didn't realize. I have no idea what the circumstances are there, but I can tell you this. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. And this Ryan McEwen, this firefighter,
That's awesome.
reached in his own pocket. He didn't ask someone else to do it. He reached in his own pocket and paid that. How awesome is that?
That's amazing. That really
And
is.
I just want to make sure that we share the names of people like that, because that guy right there, 4 letters, Hero, hero. Firefighter Ryan McEwen, hats off to you. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining us on the John and Heidi Show.
Time now for the bonus break. Only available here on the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
And your bonus break is brought to you by the good folks at Knowles Systems. If you haven't heard of them, well, you need to listen up, because I got to tell you all about this. If you have funds earning less than 6%, maybe you should check into a better system, like Knowles Systems. They have commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. If you've never heard of a commercial mortgage bridge loan, I'm going to tell you what this is. It's a loan paying 6% to 8%, and it could be just what you need. You're placed in the first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels and apartments and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges. You can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. If you'd like more info on how you can start earning 6% or more right now, call 888-547-8007. I'll give you that number again in a second, but first, you might want to just check out the website if that's easier. commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. Again, commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com or 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
Now let's get to that bonus break. A Chinese woman went missing as a teen in 2005. She was presumed dead. She was just found alive and well at an internet cafe in a nearby city.
What?
So
Did she have amnesia or
I
something?
have no clue. All I'm telling you is what the whole story is that I have right there. That is crazy to me. 2005, It's 11 years ago.
Yeah, that's nuts.
During this divisive political season, JetBlue wanted to see if strangers could work together to unanimously answer crucial questions that would affect their lives. What would the reward be? A free flight. But it came with a catch. Do you want to go to Costa Rica or Turks or the Caicos? In a social experiment doubling as JetBlue commercials titled, they're titled Reach Across the Aisle. This is such a cool idea. The airline offered 150 passengers a free flight. Here was the catch, Heidi. You have to unanimously agree on the decision of this destination. Where are we going? After all votes, 150 of them, they finally agreed on one destination, showing true democracy in action, and they got their free flight.
You know what? I'm sorry, but that's not even close to the same thing. What a lame idea.
What?
Just because people can all agree on, hey, where should we go for our free vacation, as long as I don't have to talk to your stupid ass when we get there.
How do you really feel about this, Heidi?
That's dumb. That's dumb.
Here I was thinking that was one of the coolest things ever. I'm like, hey, they gave away free stuff. That's awesome.
Well, it's nice they give away free stuff, but I don't think that the Democrats and Republicans are going to be coming together anytime soon because of that.
Well, if they all have to agree to get to their free destination, maybe they will.
It's not like they were all able to agree on the next president. That's a different discussion altogether. Maybe they should have said, hey, once you can all come together and agree on our next president, we will give you a free flight to wherever you want to go.
All right, let's move on to something else that's going to make Heidi mad. 2 guys in Idaho, in Kootenai County, Idaho, were arrested for pollution because they dumped dirt in a forest.
What? What is wrong with people?
Why would they dump dirt in a forest? Oh, that's not what you meant? You meant what's wrong
Why
with
is it illegal?
I know. I don't
There's
get it.
dirt all over the...
Yeah.
Good luck proving which dirt was theirs and which dirt was...
Now, I could see if this was like contaminated dirt that had all kinds of yucky stuff in it. But if they're just dumping some dirt, they're like, hey, I dug a hole, I got all this dirt, let's just go dump it in the woods. I don't think that's a problem.
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure. Unless there's more to the story, because again, I get like this one little line. If I want to read more, I have to pay for it. I'm not going to do that. I just made the decision long ago. I'm not going to pay to read your website.
Wow.
Sell advertising on your website and let me read it for free. There you go. Twitter confirms it. People are happiest on the weekends. Do you think, Twitter? Are you serious?
That was another survey that did not need to be done.
Well, the fast-paced forum is offering scientists a peek in real time, presumably little filtered, is the way they call it, human behavior and thoughts. Cornell University researchers turned to the microblog to study mood and find a pretty inconsistent pattern. The researchers analyzed English language tweets from 2.4 million people in 84 countries, more than 500 million of the brief conversation-like exchanges sent over 2 years. They used a computer program that searched for words indicating positive moods and happy and enthusiastic and brilliant, or negative moods, sad, anxious, fear. What they found, people liked the weekends. Along with the U.S., the researchers examined tweets in the United Arab Emirates, and the results were the same there. So, everybody's working for the weekend.
Shouldn't there be something better to be done
80s.
with their time? There's got to be something they could be working on.
You know, this is the kind of stuff that people just want to know. A Berlin drummer was practicing so loudly in his bedroom that he didn't even notice burglars were breaking into his house. They stole his belongings and even took his car. The thieves even broke a window downstairs to get in when they heard the man pounding away on his kick drum. They thought, hey, we're safe. They took his credit cards, all of his cash.
Oh, that's a shame.
And his car keys and drove away in his car. Meanwhile, he got done drumming and was like, what happened
Where's
out
my
here?
stuff?
Well, last thing I knew, I was doing this awesome drum solo. A Romanian burglar was caught in the act, but only because he was hungry. The 26-year-old thief packed his bags with jewelry and other valuables in the home, and he also took some food that he found in the fridge, including some salami and olives. After the heist, he became hungry and decided to sit down and eat the olives.
Oh, my gosh.
That's where he was captured. When they came in and caught him eating the olives, they're like, yeah, you might have gotten away with this if you hadn't.
If you would have just left and eaten your olives somewhere else.
Stayed here to eat our olives. And then I think we talked a little bit about this, but this is from a different story, so maybe this will have a little more info. We talked about this earlier in the week. It says, stop clowning around with your kids, literally. A recent study by the University of Sheffield, England, says small children, even older kids, don't like clowns.
We talked about this yesterday.
I know. The study of more than 250 children aged 4 to 16 found clown images were widely disliked, and they suggest decorating rooms in hospital wards with paintings of clowns to create nurturing atmosphere could actually backfire.
Yeah.
Researcher Dr. Penny Curtis says, as an adult, we make the assumption that what works. We make assumptions about what works for children, but we found out that clowns are universally disliked by children. Some of them are quite frightening.
And by most adults as well, actually.
So if you're in the clown business, you might want to consider taking some all those years of clown college. No, what am I going to do? And our final story. Douglas Holmes was in court being tried as a repeat offender, but while he was there, the Kansas man thought he'd really be a repeat offender. His case proceeded, and as he faced life in prison, Holmes noticed the money that he stole during one of his thefts was sitting on the table. It was evidence. He couldn't resist it. That's what happened. He grabbed the cash and made a run for the door. Police chased after him. The judge decided to continue the case without Holmes present in the courtroom. He was convicted somehow of 3 counts of armed robbery and 3 counts of armed criminal action. And now there's more to come because of this. A former victim who was in the court to testify against Holmes says, I cannot believe I lost my money again. So the guy stole the money, got caught, the money was evidence, then the guy stole the money again and broke out of the courtroom. Like I said, they did catch him, so he's going to pay for it. That's our bonus break, brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans paying 6 to 8% might be just what you need. Get all of the details at commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com.